You know, I once heard a super duper secret about Batman, but I don't think I can repeat it here. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me, Amanda. Today we'll be counting down the top 10 superheroes who hate Batman. Or at least, you know, who have very strongly disliked him at some point. Who do you think should detest bats the most? And why? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Superman. I mean, hate is a really strong word, especially if we're talking about the relationship between Clark and Bruce. However, you likely clicked for the hate, so it's kind of my job to give that to you. While Superman and Batman are generally like BFFs for life, even BFFs have those moments where they really question, you know, why they ever became friends in the first place. I know I've had those moments myself with my BFFs, and it turns out so have Bruce and Cal. There have been a few instances where Superman has really questioned Batman's judgment, and he even once voted to have him kicked off of the Justice League for just that. This was during Tower of Babel, though really Superman was more disappointed in Batman than anything else. I mean, I think most of the Justice League's members were, and as a result, Batman was successfully removed from the roster and his position as team leader. There is also, of course, a whole other universe where these two genuinely did come to hate each other. That is the Injustice universe, where Superman, in essence, became a dictator after being broken mentally by the Joker and kind of turned into a villain as a result of that. Batman refused to join Superman's side in this universe, making the two ultimately enemies. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, and if you love or sometimes maybe love to hate Batman, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 9. Green Lantern John Stewart. Definitely one of the smaller moments, I would say, of hate on this list. John Stewart at one point was leader of the Justice League, which is awesome for him, but maybe, you know, not so great for Batman, who for a long time has been known as the League's often de facto leader, and who kind of has a thing about like always being in control, always needing to be in control. That's Batman for you. During John's time as leader in Justice League issue number 40, we see this struggle between these two, with Batman struggling to accept his role as a team member as opposed to a leader, and often questioning John's leadership and judgment, causing Green Lantern John Stewart in turn to question whether or not Batman should basically even remain on this team. Which honestly, to be fair, yeah, I'm kind of on John's side with this one. Batman shouldn't be undermining John. It's not very cool. Batman wouldn't like it if people were doing that to him. Number 8. Green Lantern Hal Jordan. Even in the main continuity, I would say that Bruce Wayne's Batman and Hal Jordan's Green Lantern are, you know, kinda opposites. However, that doesn't mean they don't see eye to eye all the time. Many times they do, as they are both superheroes who, of course, are both out there fighting for justice. The difference is that Batman prefers to operate outside of the law and kinda in the shadows, whereas Hal literally wields light as a weapon for the law. He is the law as a Green Lantern, and on an intergalactic level, whereas Batman is honestly more of a street level superhero or vigilante, the polar opposite basically. However, there is a reality where their differences make it almost impossible for them to see eye to eye. Frank Miller's Earth 31. Here, Batman at one point gets Robin to help him paint an entire safe house yellow while sporting yellow versions of their suits and consuming yellow food and drink just to get Hal Jordan off of his case. The two even fight, with Batman using the color yellow to basically taunt Hal by exposing his weakness to it, which is also in stark contrast to the main continuity, where Hal before has even stated that Batman's fear tactics don't actually work on him, pretty much because he is such a powerful and unstoppable Green Lantern. Number 7. Peacemaker. While everyone might be focused on the end of the Blue Beetle trailer and what Hamy's uncle said about Batman, we actually do have some straight up hate from the DCU when it comes to heroes who actually hate Batman. So far, it actually isn't Blue Beetle or even Blue Beetle's uncle, although Blue Beetle's uncle is also not technically a superhero, I don't think, but it's Peacemaker and, you know, maybe briefly Superman in the DCEU. Remember in one of the episodes of the first season of Peacemaker when Chris went on a whole rant to his dad's neighbor, basically calling Batman out as weak in comparison to himself as a hero? I remember that. That was some hate right there. Pretty sure Peacemaker pretty much hates everybody on the Justice League though. Number 6. Supergirl. Supergirl and Batman have pretty much always had a tense relationship, or at least a version of Batman and Supergirl have. This is also made more confusing by the fact that this Supergirl first appeared in a canonically debated series, I'd say, Superman/Batman by Jeff Loeb. While some things were incorporated into the canon from this series, some didn't quite fit with the rest of what was happening in the main continuity at that time. So although this series seems to be acknowledged as canon by pretty much all the wikis on the internet, it still has been a debated topic among fans. DC does this basically sometimes with series that are super loved. When asked if those stories are canon later by fans, they often answer them with the question of, well, I mean, like, what do you think? Should this be canon? So we kind of decide what's canon and what's not, and they kind of just take the bits and pieces that they like the most. And then from there, certain things are just like incorporated into the canon. Like with Alan Moore's The Killing Joke and, you know, what happened to Barbara there. Anyways, Batman and kind of newer Supergirl's beef comes from the fact that when she first arrives in Superman/Batman, she causes quite the stir after exiting her ship, which Batman finds in Gotham. Naked and confused, Kara wanders around and basically causes all kinds of destruction. Now add in the facts that Superman was initially believed to be the last surviving Kryptonian, Kara's anger issues, and the fact that she turns evil more than once, and I mean, it kind of makes sense that her and Batman would not get along. He kind of doesn't really trust her, and as a result, she kind of doesn't really like Batman. She's like, this guy is just a big jerky jerk and he doesn't get me. Number 5. Wonder Woman. Might be a shocking one for people that I put Wonder Woman at 5, but let me tell you about it. Wonder Woman and Batman are generally seen as, of course, being potential romantic interests for one another, as well as usually being depicted as like very close friends. So you know, it might surprise you to hear the hatred between them. Of course, this isn't really in the main continuity. Now there, they generally admire and respect one another, despite being very different heroes, I'd say. And despite the fact that Wonder Woman as an Amazon does not have any qualms with killing, unlike Batman, who that's like a huge no-no for Batman. However, even in the main continuity, they have had their differences, like in Greg Rucka's and J.G. Jones's Wonder Woman story, The Hecate, where the two are actually forced to fight over the fate of a woman who has sought Diana's protection. There are also other realities where their fighting has been much less incidental, which is kind of what we're focused on here, such as the reality belonging to Superman Red Son. Here, on what we know as Earth 30, Wonder Woman is in love with Superman, who here was actually raised in Russia, so he's a Russian Superman, and ends up being used as bait by the Russian Batman, who seeks to destroy Superman. During this fight, Wonder Woman is forced to break her lasso of truth, which causes her to basically age. While she resents Superman for this later on, it's fair to say that she would also probably hate Batman as well, as he was the one who incapacitated her in the first place. Number 4. Catwoman. It might seem odd to you for me to have Catwoman on my list for a few reasons. I mean, is Catwoman a superhero? And does she not love Batman? Well, I would personally argue that yes, she is a hero more often than not, at least in modern comics, and I would also kind of agree that yes, she does love Batman as well. However, that doesn't mean that she hasn't also hated Batman at the same time in the past. In fact, she literally has done that. Check out issue number 355 of Batman, where when Batman leaves her for Vicky Vale, she confesses to basically just that. Basically, like, literally says, like, I'm in love with you, but I also hate you for kind of like what you did to me, you abandoned me. So, kind of classic Catwoman, I think. Bit of a love-hate thing they have going. Number 3. Spawn. Spawn and Batman had a team up at one point in the crossover issue Spawn/Batman from 1994. Not to be confused with their recent team up from 2022, Batman/Spawn. Very different, as you can tell from that title. And although this Batman definitely does not seem like our main continuity Batman, possibly because he's being written by Frank Miller here, he and Spawn both had a huge fight in this crossover, with both of them wanting to basically actively harm the other. Bury this. That's me throwing a batarang, because that happens at the end of the comic. Number 2. Rick Flag. Rick Flag Jr. is often known for his role in the Suicide Squad team, generally acting as their field commander on behalf of Amanda Waller. Initially, Rick respected Batman. Rick even offers a team up to the Dark Knight during a rescue mission to save Nemesis from a Russian prison, which they're both on with their own separate teams. Batman with Justice League International and Rick with the Suicide Squad. When Batman turns him down though, things quickly escalate and the two break out into a literal physical fight. It all starts with Rick trying to be like, Batman, don't walk away from me, let's have a conversation. And then it's like, nope, now we're fighting. Number 1. Green Lantern Guy Gardner. While alternate Superman might take the cake for hating Batman and a slew of other superheroes who stood in his way in the Injustice universe, I would say, like, honestly, if we're talking all universes, it's one of the worst. This is, at the end of the day, an alternate reality still. So Guy Gardner is ranking much higher for the fact that the conflict between Batman and Guy was very real in the main continuity, and even at one point culminated in a fight between them. A one-punch fight too. Oh boy. Guy challenged Batman for leadership of the Justice League, took off his Green Lantern ring, and then was pretty much defeated in one punch by Batman. That'll probably make you hate someone. You know, at least for a while. Although I think Guy's over it at this point. That's about it. Till next time, stay nerdy, YouTube.